Is AI theft? Is AI plagiarism? I'm going to address this once and for all because after 2 years with generative AI on the market for everybody to have access to, if there has not been a single successful copyright claim because of the use of either a text-based or visually based AI, if there has not been a successful copyright claim legally that has gone through and been successful and resulted in some type of damages being paid, then I think we're in the clear. I think that'll be that. I think we can put this to bed. The reason for this criticism is because the way an AI model is trained, whether it's through images or through a corpus of text data, the AI would have been trained on everything on the internet. So that would have been all of our contributions as creative humans to civilization up on the internet. That's what these models were trained on. So the argument that AI stole their information and that's why ChatGPT can write language and it's just predicting the next word based on all the human inputs, the argument being made is that that was a form of theft, that we didn't sign up for this data to be used. Neither did all of the brilliant minds that have contributed their knowledge to humanity that have passed away. Nobody ever brings up that that has been factored in as well, that we've created this superhuman mind. But the idea is that because it was trained on this data, it stole the data and stole our knowledge and then is just giving us copies of our own knowledge back to us. Now, I'm going to unpack this and put this to bed because I've been using this technology in depth, really heavy for the last 3 years. And then before that, I was getting started with AI in 2016. So this is not somebody that just picked up ChatGPT and is now excited about AI. I am an actual expert on how to use this stuff creatively. Okay? So let's think about this criticism and why I think it isn't founded on anything real and why I think it's more founded on fear. Now, the idea that the AI would learn from knowledge out in the universe, on the planet Earth and our internet, and then regurgitate the information, it's not exactly true if you understand how mental models work. So if you know that as a human, we could combine ideas. Say we were designing a piece of jewelry. If I start thinking, you know what would be a cool piece of jewelry? I want to make a lion head pendant, but not just any lion head pendant. I want this to be inspired by Victorian architecture, and I still want it to be futuristic though. Wow, I'm really thinking like a visionary jeweler now. I have an idea of a piece of jewelry that I want to make that nobody's ever made before. Is that any different so far to what a human being would do? The answer is no. You'd be combining ideas in your mind, and then you could theoretically go create this piece of jewelry. Now, if you wanted to do that, that would take a lot of time, over years becoming an expert. This is the real reason that they're upset. It's because it would take years to become an expert in all of the things that you would need to become an expert in, from 3D CAD design to jewelry manufacturing and knowing all of the metals and all of the details and all of the artistic influences that you're going to absorb. Before, it would have taken a long time to be the person that could create that work of art. In this case, the medium is a piece of jewelry because it's so complex, and this is jeweler's advantage. So it would have taken a long time. That is why they're threatened by this idea that now you can get a really quick idea of what that would look like through an AI image generator, and I don't need to know how to make that piece of jewelry, but I simply had an idea and I want to visualize it and I want to see it. But the thing is, if I did it that way and it was a lion and Victorian architecture and futuristic minimalism, it's probable that there is not anything exactly like that idea. There is probably not another human out there that has made that piece of jewelry yet. That is my idea of something that could come together. So in that way, if I were to create this image and then go on and use AI to help figure out how I'm going to manufacture this piece and get it made and polished and ready for delivery to a customer, I could now do that because of AI. I could visualize it and I could get all of the steps in text to figure out exactly how to do that. In that way, I'm just using a tool, the way a caveman would bang rocks together to start a fire. It's essentially the same thing. Without me sitting there deciding I want to be the caveman starting that fire, or I am the jeweler that's going to create this jewelry design and set it off into motion and do the work and be the human that assigns the meaning that this matters, that this is important, and I've decided it's important. In that regard, AI is just a tool to achieve that aim. I'm taking influences of information through the world, whether I'm using AI or not. I'm deciding based on what I've seen that I want to make this piece of jewelry, and then I'm combining that information and then communicating to the world through this jewelry my vision. This is the real reason people are so upset with AI. It's because it has demonstrated that it has surpassed our greatest evolutionary advantage as human beings. Let me say that again. The real reason that people are so upset with AI is that they feel threatened. They feel a fight or flight response to something new in their environment that they feel is threatening them as a species. As human beings, our greatest evolutionary advantage, and this isn't just my idea, you could go read the book Evolutionary Psychology by Dr. David Buss. That's a great source on this type of topic if we're talking about cavemen, is he would argue and agree that the greatest advantage of a human being is that we can take in information from our environment and we can process that information and then we can communicate it to one another through language or visual signals. That's what makes us different from a tiger. That's what makes us different from a lion. That's what makes us different from a bald eagle or a hawk or a falcon or a shark or any of the other top predators in the environment on planet Earth. That is what separates us. Our ability to gather information, process that information, and combine those ideas, combine that information, and then communicate it to one another. That is what makes us the apex predator on planet Earth, that single principle. And because someone has created a tool, they've created a way to bang two rocks together and make a special kind of fire that can compete with that latent ability that gives us an advantage in the ecosystem as human beings. And because inherently we know, whether you've heard this idea before or not, because deep down at the core of the ancient mechanisms of your brain and the very essence of your being, you know that this is true, that this is what makes you special as a human being. Because that has been shown to be made into a tool that has completely leveled the playing field. So now your IQ and your intellect is no longer the evolutionary advantage or the advantage in the marketplace or in the environment that you thought it was. That is why, if you don't like AI, that is why you feel threatened by it. It has nothing to do with some moral reason of its theft. Now we have to attack the morality of it, because I can't explain the primordial rage I feel at seeing something surpass me in my ability to survive. So we have to attack the morality of it instead, because I can make sense of that with my emotions, and I'm combining that information in my mind in order to explain it. So we have to make it a moral issue. It's theft now. It's a plagiarism machine. It's none of those things. All it is the ultimate scaled version of taking in information from our environment and re-communicating it in a different way, and it's accessible to everybody, and it no longer matters to be the smartest person in the environment as much. So, if you understand that, and you've got an understanding of mental models and how you can structure ideas and combine them. You can combine ideas by understanding how you could compartmentalize different creative influences and then decide how you're going to manifest an actual outcome with those combination of ideas. If you understand that, then AI becomes that magic fire and you can control it. We're all just cavemen. We're all just cavemen that got progressively better and better tools, and we got so proud of these tools. But ultimately, we created our last invention, and the beautiful thing about it is the greatest minds that have ever existed, that are no longer here to argue about it with us, also participated in creating it. And that's incredible. So that's how you should be thinking about AI. You should be thinking about how you can use the productized tool version of the culmination of all of the greatest minds to ever exist that are still in our hearts and in our minds, but no longer here to help us. But if we understand how we can use that fire, they can help us. So we can either look at this through a very minimal, fear-based lens that AI is theft. I'm going to attack the morality because I've not processed the real fear that I feel. Or we can look at it as the greatest miracle of science that we will ever receive. And that's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth it to have that. It's a sacrifice to have it, but it's a worthy sacrifice to make. And it's a worthy sacrifice for all of us to make when we put ideas up on the internet moving forward. So, is AI theft, or is it the greatest miracle and gift we've ever received? That is completely up to you to decide. So this is Jesse Corby here at Jeweler's Advantage, and I will see you in the next one.